Here we are. Erev Yom Kippur. How different it is to be sitting here in Bidud, not to be sitting surrounded in the Beis Medrash by other Bali Tshuva. I wanted to say a few words in preparation for Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur, Tshuva is difficult. If we point to the two central pieces of Tshuva, we talk about Kabbalah Atid, we talk about Charata, and soon we'll talk about Aziva Zachayit. They both seem impossible. Kabbalah Atid, as Rav Yisrael says, to the point that the Rambam says of Ad Sheodea Ta'alumos, till HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows the kishkas of our heart, can be made upon us that which we are makabel, we will not return to. How difficult is that? As honestly that we want it. To say that we're not going to talk Lashon Hara, and to know, to say it to the point that we have the confidence that it will never happen again. That our saying tefillah without meaning what we're going to say, meaning what we say, is not going to happen again. That hurting someone's feeling is not going to happen again. That eating without a bracha is not going to happen again. Ad sheodea talumos. That's hard. And what can we do? It's not a question of difficult. Well, what's the path to do that can actually bring us to that? Charata, embarrassment, busha, as Rabbeinu Yonah says, on what we've done, is almost a part of our chinuch, which says you have to be careful about how much busha. What you did at a point when you were a different person how embarrassed can you be about acting like a 12th grader when you're in 12th grade and like an 11th grader? Sometimes if you have too much, if you don't have any perspective, then how do you know how to relate to anyone else who's going through a process? In the same way that we have to appreciate that everyone goes through a process, we appreciate also that we go through a process. So even with a genuine ratzon to do different and not to want to be there, real charata of crying that we did something, at that point, when we were there, how do we do real charata? The truth is that we very often walk into, for all of the right ratzon, we walk into the process of active tshuva with a certain degree of skepticism. Skepticism that the process that we go through, as genuine as it is, will actually make a change by the next day, breaking habits. As Rav Yisrael says, changing a single midah is overwhelmingly difficult no matter how genuine we are. So on the one hand, we walk into that, the more honest we are. We walk into tshuva with a certain healthy degree of skepticism. At the same time, I can't help but look at that skepticism of tshuva with a certain sense of absurdity. How many Talmidim have walked through the doors of this Beis Medrash and have a different path, a different habits of what they speak, and new hobbies, and new goals, and new appreciations, and a new set of priorities, and have set up a different bias now than what they thought before they walked into yeshiva. And I count myself amongst those. There could be nothing more absurd in yeshiva than being skeptical about tshuva and the process of tshuva. Because it is hard to find a person who did not go through real transformation over his tkufa in yeshiva. were his goals for his house and his nature of his speech and the things he appreciated and his dreams and his goals did not change significantly and overwhelmingly over the course of his time in yeshiva. So there is no place that skepticism of teshuva is more absurd than sitting in the Beis Medrash today. And therefore, it comes to a very clear maskana that our healthy skepticism is not about teshuva. It's about teshuva of kone olamo b'sha'achas, of the fact that the teshuva which I do between today, right now, between now and Yom Kippur, in the next few hours, that teshuva is going to make all the difference in the world. Confidence in the process of teshuva, that's why we're here. Confidence in the fact that I can make change to my life and make change to my habits and my activity and my interaction, ben adam l'chavero, ben adam l'makom, ben adam la'atzmo. There's not a single person here who can be skeptical of that. That is what he is tarot on all the time. If there's a skepticism, it's about how much can change in the next few hours that it counts as a ma'aseh teshuva to get kapara from this Yom Kippur. And that's a healthy skepticism. The teshuva of kone olam of sha'achas is never the recommended path. Elazar ben Dordai did not get to choose kone olam of sha'achas. He did not opt into that. He experienced something extreme and life-changing, which broke him. He got a bas kol. He died. That is not the prescribed path to teshuva. And the thought that we can actually change our entire life in one moment by our plan deserves skepticism. So then what are we supposed to do in the next few hours to prepare? So first of all, it's important to know that according to some shitas, the Iker Vidui is the Vidui of Erev Yom Kippur. That we walk into Yom Kippur b'tshuva. So first of all, spend the time beforehand looking through the vidui and saying, and at least laying out the plan and laying out some of the pieces of the puzzle. Sometimes you have a boy, or you have a zug, a couple who's lost and just feels overwhelming tension, overwhelming richuk, or a student who just feels overwhelming sense of not being in the right place. The first step is to enumerate and says, you know what? If I were to work on this and this and this, these three things make all the difference in the world. Vidui. Enumerate the steps. Commit to the process. But more importantly, we have a very difficult achrayus called mechila. Mechila on both sides, asking for mechila and giving mechila. Chazal are clear. If you are not mochel, do not expect HaKadosh Baruch Hu to be mochel you. Think hard about people who you might have hurt, who you need to humble yourself and say, I did wrong, whether accidentally or on purpose. I will not be defensive. I'm sorry. That creates a certain type of kapara, as Rav Soloveitchik talks about how vidui, the statement of vidui itself, is a painful humbling and creates a kapara. Alachaskama v'kama kavachomer ben benoshel kavachomer. When we turn to a parent or a teacher or a neighbor or a friend or a peer, and we say, I'm really sorry. I know that I hurt your feelings. I know that I left you out. It was wrong. I hope that you're mochel me. It takes a tremendous humbling to ask mechila, to give mechila, to stop and be able to be mochel to someone who asks mechila, or you held a grudge. You don't have to call them, you don't have to speak to them, but you need to genuinely let go. Someone who you're upset at, someone who you feel wronged you, let go. Let go and dive into a Kadosh Baruch Hu for them. Say, Kadosh Baruch Hu, I don't want anyone to get punished on my behalf because of anything they did to me. I let go. If you want to be nechshav and to be nimne, to be counted amongst the Bali Tshuva tomorrow, you need to be able to humble yourself and say, I let go. I let go. I let go of my own kavod and I ask for mechila. I let go of my own kavod. I give mechila. Not upset at anyone. If I expect a Kadosh Baruch Hu to be mochel, to help me with my process of tshuva, I need to let go. Tshuva is something we see every single day by every single Talmud. There's nobody who doesn't go through a process. But coming to that point where that process is put right in front of us, and we say, and we announce, and we declare, and that is Azivas Achet. Azivas Achet is when we say, going on a new path, surrounding ourselves by new behaviors and new habits and new influences. And we're going to have a greater shmirah on what comes into the system. Because as they say, garbage in, garbage out. Less garbage coming in, there'll be less garbage coming out. Have confidence in tshuva, because it happens every day. But between now and Shabbos, between now and Yom Kippur, have the humility to become a Baal Tshuva.